This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Schola in the Narrowgate Security Agency studios.
Hey, if they're legit results, then of course they'll be accepted. But like Donald said, I think what he was suggesting is we'd better take a look at everything at the end of the day and make sure that everything is legit.
Well, there ain't no place like a Trump debate or a Trump rally. That we know. And this past week, Mama Grizzly Radio was on hand for a massive celebration, a Trump rally in Newtown, Pennsylvania. An important spot in the Keystone State. A lot of people believe whoever wins Bucks County, where Newtown is located, will win Pennsylvania. And if you win Pennsylvania, well, you'll likely win the White House. Today, we talked to the man who hosted the huge rally, Jim Worthington, owner of Newtown Athletic Club. He was a Trump delegate at the RNC in Cleveland, and he also runs an incredible foundation. We'll discuss just what goes into a Trump rally and where Jim thinks the race stands coming up. Mama Grizzly Radio on the Trump train in Pennsylvania. Donald Trump gets some Palin power at the final presidential debate. Governor Palin in the House to witness Trump's big win over Hillary in Nevada. Palin, an Obama admirer? We'll explain. And a brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert is on the way from Texas. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by Narrowgate Security Agency. Learn more at narrowgate.com. Trump rallies are the place to be. Americans have been flocking to see Mr. Trump all over the country. This past week, Mama Grizzly Radio was on hand for a massive rally in Pennsylvania. Today, we welcome Jim Worthington to the show, the owner of the Newtown Athletic Club where the rally took place. Jim helped put the big event all together, and he is a great supporter of the Trump-Pence ticket. The fire marshal had to turn people away. The crowd to see Trump was just too big. Today, we get an inside look at putting together a historic event. And right now, we do welcome Jim Worthington to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Jim, thanks for joining us, sir.
My pleasure. Glad to be on.
Just an unbelievable event you had this past week at your facility. Donald J. Trump, the next president of the United States, delivering just a great speech to a huge crowd in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And, I mean, you have to be happy, I would think, with how things turned out.
No, it was the most amazing event I'd ever been involved in that I put on and helped put on in 40 years of being in business. In fact, the Trump team told me after Mr. Trump left that he was ecstatic, said it was fun, the energy was amazing, and the gentleman that actually put it on for them, I asked him how many of these events has he done in his career, and he said 600. I said, well, where do we stand, do you think? He says in the top three of events I put on. He said it was just an incredible event. So that meant a lot to me.
Well, thank you for having us. I got to bring my 8-year-old daughter and, another huge Trump fan. And, it was just wonderful, the whole thing, the excitement, the people, the community, everybody just fired up for Donald Trump. And it really makes you doubt these polls and these things were being fed by the media, that's for sure. But let's talk about Jim Worthington a little bit first. You were a delegate at the convention for Mr. Trump, right?
Yes, sir. I was actually an unendorsed by the GOP party in the congressional 8th. I ran on my own with my own campaign. We ended up being the top vote getter out of 7 contestants. We had gotten 45,000 votes, and we won pretty comfortably. And I was honored to be a Trump delegate and went out to Cleveland and did my duty, and the reason I got involved was that we felt that in our district, regardless of the outcome of the vote of the people, that they were going to maybe lean towards John Kasich, and that inspired me, as well as the fact that I was my dad and I shared a common interest in politics, and he had passed about a year and a half prior to that I thought it would be a great tribute to him if I could just go to the convention and be a delegate, but I didn't realize after I had volunteered that I had to run a political campaign, which was the first one I ever did. And we went out and won, and helped make sure we ensured that Mr. Trump got our delegate votes. As it turned out, it wasn't contested, and we all got along out at the convention and did the right thing. But you didn't know that until we got closer to the time of the convention.
Well, it really was an amazing convention. And then afterwards, a few months later, here we are in October, and you have this amazing facility in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, in Newtown, and you had a chance to host a presidential rally. Not many people get a chance to do that. How did that come about? And I bet you were just, couldn't wait to get it off the ground and happy it all went through.
Yeah, I mean, it really started long before that. I had, at the same time, I was mentioning to Ted Christian, who was turns out that he was a member of my health club, who turned out to be the state director for Trump's campaign in Pennsylvania after Trump was nominated. I was talking to him back in January about how cool it would be to host a political rally of some type, whether it be in the primary or after that. And then after I won, what had happened, I have this foundation that I own, which is called the Have a Heart, which is lobbying for a bill in Congress called the Right to Try. And we thought it would be a great opportunity to get this in front of Mr. Trump to get exposure. And I thought the best way to do that was to hold a rally. So I kept pressing Ted Christian every chance I got to say, look, this would be important for Bucks County voters to see him. Oddly enough, Bucks County became a real focal point. Different news stations have traveled to Bucks saying that if you win the congressional 8th district in Pennsylvania, you most likely win Pennsylvania, and if you win Pennsylvania, you're going to be the president of the United States.
There you go, right?
So I kept pressing that with Ted Christian, and about 2 weeks ago, they contacted me and put me on a 2-day notice that they might come to my facility, and it fell through. And then this past week, on Wednesday, I got a call in the afternoon saying that be on alert, you may get a call. This was from Ted. He said, you may get a call from the Trump campaign that they're going to fit you in here. Are you available? I said, darn right, we'll be available on an hour's notice. You let me know what you need to do.
Right.
Oddly enough, they called me up at 8:15 that night. I was hosting a debate party with 300 people in the same building that we had the rally in. And they said, are you ready to go? I said, darn right I am. And they said, well, we're going to email you over the contract. You need to read it and scan it back to us. I wasn't in the office. I didn't tell them. I had my assistant back at the office print it out, sign my signature, send it back. I never even saw the contract. That's how anxious I was. I got confirmation at 8:45 that they had received it. They called me back, told me, and 5 minutes later, right before the debate started, I announced it to 300 people that not only were they going to witness a debate that evening, Wednesday night, that in 2 days they'd be witnessing Donald Trump right where I was standing. The crowd just went wild. They couldn't believe it. People were cheering. Some people were crying. It was just really an emotional thing. And really, I even got caught up in it. It was just because to think that we were going to host the next president of the United States in one of my facilities was just a dream come true.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Ted. Ted has been a friend of this program. He helped us with the Laura Trump interview a few weeks back, and another great guy. And Ted, Mr. Trump's surrounded by him. I mean, that's what that campaign has been about. And you felt that in your building at the rally, just the enthusiasm and, everybody together and hoping for the best thing for our country. And Jim, when people have rallies like this, I mean, they're held everywhere. Mr. Trump obviously does multiple ones pretty much every day. And, most people, they have the place and they do it because they have the place. But you're behind Mr. Trump as well. So this had to be doubly special for you because not only are you able to use your facility and bring him to the people of Pennsylvania, But I mean, this is your guy. You were in Cleveland for him, and you want him to be our president. And I think you started to get a little emotional up there this past weekend.
Yeah, I did. A couple things came to mind. One is, again, as I said earlier, my dad, who was very much loved politics and was a very, very conservative Republican. He passed a couple of years ago, and I was thinking of him and how proud he would be that I was able to get something like that there. And he was a World War II veteran and loved America, and he would love Donald Trump, and he would love what he would stand for. In fact, the quote that my dad used to say, and I put it in his obituary, was, if 50% of the people don't like you, you probably don't stand for anything. And when that was going through my mind in regards to Mr. Trump, who is, he says exactly what needs to be done in for America, and
Absolutely.
Some of the people just take his words and twist it into that he's a racist and he's an isolationist and all that stuff. But he's none of those things. He's a man that wants, put America first, and he just wants to make sure that we're protected and safe. So, a lot of things went through my mind, and then you look out and see 4,000 people, and I've addressed big crowds before, but when you see a bunch of patriots out in the audience and you see how excited and exuberant they are for a person they think that's going to make America great again, you get choked up and your heart races, and you just, in a moment, you realize that you're in a place that you could be making history. So it was pretty emotional for me, and I had a little trouble there at the end, but I caught myself and finished it up.
I think people appreciated it, Jim. I really do. And the Trump campaign and Mr. Trump himself, he's conjured up these good feelings for people. I, too, the fact that I got to bring my 8-year-old daughter to this event, I remember my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran as well. We went to events like this together when I was a kid. We went to see Bush 41 twice in New Jersey. So, I get it, and I know exactly what you're saying there, and it's just wonderful, and I think people are going to take that feeling into November. Now, of course, with Donald Trump, just like Sarah Palin and just like others who, like your dad said, if you're ticking off 50%, you're doing the right thing. What do you make of having a rally with Donald Trump? Did you get any flack for it? Because people obviously, if you do something for a Democrat, no one cares on either side. But if you do something for someone like Donald Trump, of course you're going to have people scream and yell. Was there any backlash?
Oh, my God, I'm glad you asked that question. The funny part is, I own a health club that's one of the biggest privately held ones in America. It's on 22 acres. It's got 12,000 members. I specifically told and promised my members that after the primary, when I ran, I did, solicit and put my signage out there to vote for me. But I was asking Republicans to vote for me. I wasn't asking Democrats. They couldn't in a primary. So I had a little bit of pushback then when I was doing it. So I promised them that I would not do anything on my health club property that would promote politics on either side. So I used my neighboring building, which is unrelated to the health club. As a member of the health club, you don't have access to this field house, which is for sports training. So I held it there. Well, at least 25 Democrats in a one-day time period, the day of the rally and the day after on Saturday, quit the club, and because they felt that it wasn't right, and they were just the things they were saying about Donald Trump and me, and it's just vicious. And then of course social media went crazy, and they started to go on there and just and the amazing part is that you're only as good as what you've done a favor for somebody, the day before. I mean, the reality is my club and my business and my foundation give and raise millions of dollars a year to help people of all types. And never once did I ever ask when I help somebody, are you a Republican, or are you a Democrat? Or you're a Democrat, I can't help you. I mean, literally, my health club I have probably 1,000 people that are full members of my club that pay nothing a year. And again, remember, this is like a country club without a golf course. So the cheapest would be $135 a month for an individual, and a family could be in excess of $300 a month. It's very similar to a country club in the fact of what you pay. So, and I give hundreds of people these free memberships, and on top of it, the things we do. Just for instance, ALS in the last 7 months, we've raised $500,000 just for ALS. In fact, I won a national award, and $300,000 of it with my own money, and that's just one charity. So I try to explain to the people that, look, I don't discriminate against somebody for their beliefs. Why would you care as a business owner that I have something on a property that's neighboring, a facility that you don't have access to? But they didn't want to hear it. So a number of them terminated their membership. I had my member experience director, who's in charge of customer service, call them and let them know that if in fact they terminated, that would be a lifetime termination, because I will never let them back in my club. They're not the type of people, if they're going to discriminate against me for my beliefs, then I don't think I want to do business with those type of people. So it probably cost me in the neighborhood of $50,000 to $100,000 in lost revenue for this year. But guess what? I had a bunch of people that found out about it that day on Friday and Saturday, and came up to me, for what you did, and for the beliefs and the stand you took, we're going to join you. We're thinking of joining your club. We're going to join your club, and in fact, we're going to go out and get you more members. So, people stood by me and stood behind us, and it was the right thing to do. I mean, you gotta stand up for your beliefs.
Well, we appreciate you sticking to your guns, and I bet you will get more people due to this. I mean, you look at Chick-fil-A, you look at Hobby Lobby, you look at others who haven't backed down, and they wound up getting a positive feedback. So we're going to hope that's the case for you. And if it's not, you did the right thing. And again, Jim, it was a great event. And, if and when Donald Trump does, in fact, take Pennsylvania and does, in fact, take the White House, we're all going to look back at this event and know that this was a big part of it. Now, I want to touch on the Have a Heart Foundation that you mentioned earlier and the legislation, the Right to Try legislation. Tell us about the foundation and about the legislation and where it is and how people can help out.
Well, the Have a Heart is you can just go on the website and check it out. But one of our big initiatives has been to lobby since March in Washington with Senator Johnson to get support for this bill that basically allows all terminally ill patients in the U.S. access to FDA Phase 1 approved experimental drugs. So in other words, drugs that have already been proven that won't hurt you, but could in fact save or prolong your life. Right now in America, you can't get to these drugs. And in fact, Mr. Trump on Saturday in his Gettysburg rally or presentation talking about what he was going to do the first 100 days, actually, as a result of the rally that we had on Friday evening, where Matt Palin, who's a military Navy airplane veteran, who has ALS, who's 32 years old, and I met with him prior to his rally speech and had the opportunity to spend 15 minutes with him talking about the right to try, explaining to them the difficulties in accessing these drugs. Our own American citizens are being denied the ability to save their life. They're forced to go to Europe, Mexico, leave the country to try to get these things. He took our literature, and we thought, well, wow, this is great. We've got his ear. That was at 7:00 at night. The very next morning, he puts it into his first 100-day plan, and we were just stunned. It's all over social media. People were calling me up crying. Couldn't believe that we're able to get him to support it, and basically, it gives hope to people that are dying, that just want the chance to save your life. And Matt Palin says this all the time. You can go to Oregon and a couple other states and legally commit suicide in those states. Kill yourself, end your life. But you can't go to Oregon or any state in the United States and take a drug that may save your life or prolong your life. And worse yet, these same drugs are available in other countries, foreign countries, and we can't access it. Made by American pharmaceutical companies, and we can't access them in the U.S. for people that are dying. It's a travesty. And really, to be honest with you, right now we have 40 co-signers. We started with 3 or 4. Go figure, but 38 are Republicans and only 2 Democrats. And when we went to a vote on September 22nd down in Washington, D.C., before it could even be heard, the vote could even be rendered, Harry Reid stopped it in its tracks. So we're hoping that before Congress lets out this fall that Senator Johnson will be able to get it back to a vote and we'll be able to get the darn thing passed. But if not, we're counting on Mr. Trump to help us out after the first of the year and really weigh in on this. And by the way, one last thing. Military veterans are 2 to 3 times more inclined to get ALS than the average person, the regular person. So, there's so many reasons for whether it be ALS, cancer, Alzheimer's, for people to be able to access these drugs. If you have a dying family member or you're dying, you try anything to save your life. So it's really heart-wrenching. But this is why Donald Trump has to be the president. We gave him the information overnight. He made the determination that it was the right thing to do. And by the way, this tells me, and I don't want to go on too long with you, but the reality, when we presented the information, Matt Bellina was somewhat nervous and so was I, because you don't always get 10 minutes with the future president of the United States. They said, Mr. Trump, I have to be honest with you, this really polls well. And I've seen this look before because I've given it to people when they said things I didn't like. He looked down at Matt, who was sitting in the wheelchair. He says, Matt, I could care less what it polls. It's what's right for the American people.
Yeah,
and,
wow.
And when he said that, it was so powerful.
That's
because
awesome.
I've had people say to me when I've given money to, charities, they say, well, it's tax deductible. And you just shake your head and say, that is not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I want to help you. When he had that look, I knew that he felt in his heart this was the right thing to do. And by God, within a half a day, he had put it as part of his platform. It was a miracle. The man, that's the type of president we need. That he takes a topic, he makes a decision, and and he's not wishy-washy. He does what's right for the American people. I only hope to God that he is elected president.
Folks, it's Jim Worthington. This is your typical Donald Trump supporter, a real deplorable, doing things for ALS, doing things for people every day, using his good fortune to help others. Jim, God bless you. Great event. Keep it going with everything you're doing. We're behind you 100%. We hope the membership goes up, and we hope your foundation thrives, and we hope Donald J. Trump will be our president-elect in a matter of days.
No, thank you. Thanks for giving me a forum to talk about it, and I'm a believer. He's the man for the job, and he is going to make America great again. So thanks for giving me the chance to say that.
For more on National Right to Try, search National Right to Try Movement on Facebook. Todd Palin and Governor Palin, special guests of Donald Trump at the presidential debate this past week. The governor wrote online afterwards saying, "It was great to witness UNLV's presidential debate tonight. Great running into many friends. Trump ran the table and clearly explained his vision for making America safe and strong again. What a gamble it would be to vote for status quo failed government. More of the same of what dug us into the mess we're in today. Thank you to superb law enforcement personnel for keeping everyone safe tonight. Incredible job, incredibly tough task they accomplish with a smile, no less. Seems silly media sheep are all chomping down on one issue after this debate, at least according to all the reporters who hollered out this same question to me. What about Trump not accepting the election results? More power to Trump for explaining how vitally important the legitimacy of every election is to our democracy within our republic. What reasonable person would preemptively accept any and all hypothetical questions and conditions of any hypothetical election? Trump's answer was right. Every American's sacred vote must be respected and legitimized in today's elections. But they must be fair elections. We're in the midst of proof of voter fraud and questionable, even violent, participatory elements in campaigns. That's why state legislators are now cracking down on voter fraud via tighter laws, ensuring the security of our elections. When Trump is pressed on this, it harkens back to all the GOP primary candidates who screamed at Trump to support the Republican nominee no matter what. And Trump initially responded that he could, depending on fair treatment. That is wise and insightful. Trump got screwed in that deal when he eventually pledged to support the nominee, and then some of his fellow candidates turned tail and refused to reciprocate when Trump won. Trump learned why give opponents permission and incentive to act unfairly and cheat. It's short-sighted to commit to accepting the outcome of a race regardless of unscrupulous cheaters. How totally unfair that would be to the American voter. Trump gave potential cheaters fair warning that will not give them any quarter. We'll hold them accountable. They'd better be on their toes. Cheaters will not win. Of course, Trump will accept the legitimate outcome of a legitimate election. What the heck is so hard to understand about that? Sarah Palin. And a shocker, Palin for Obama. Palin posted on Facebook, confession. I'm an Obama admirer. It was nice to shake Obama's hand the other night and whisper a belated thank you for the courage and love of country he shows in this most important time. Our nation is at a crossroad. I wish we'd had more time to chat so I could further express appreciation in the thankless position he's in for all his pro-America efforts at such a time as this. Oh, sorry, not that Obama. This one, Barack's brother, Malik, who attended the Vegas debate in support of the anti-establishment, anti-never Trump, independent, America First movement candidate, Donald Trump. This pic shows Malik Obama and Dr. Ben Carson as we exited the debate's surreal hearing of the oft-repeated, unrefuted, untruthful sound bites uttered on stage on behalf of the globalist agenda, and Palin includes a picture. Wednesday night, Malik and I and others had been stuck outside in the remnants of campaign motorcades, so had to walk in late to the UNLV arena, finally taking my seat front row center, literally on the 50-yard line. We missed opening remarks. Didn't miss anything in the way of media predictability, though, as it was a given. We couldn't rely one iota on the referees, the media, to level the playing field in coverage of this final debate, and Palin includes a Breitbart piece. Friends, rest assured we can survive the crazy deception in this campaign. The question is, can America survive those who support the deception? Watch this tip of the iceberg compilation of lies that doesn't even include most recent leftist logic-defying statements, but should be shared with those who haven't seen the light. And Palin provides a link. All of these links are on the Mama Grizzly Radio Facebook page. The governor continues, stay strong, America. It's an exciting and empowering time, a whole new ballgame where we no longer rely on blinded referees, but instead we level the field ourselves. Do your own homework, demand campaign accountability, teach your kids that truth still matters, stiffen your spine, take action, and keep the faith. Truth prevails. It's time to dance upon injustice. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and check out sarahpac.com.
Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
One thing can be said about Donald Trump. The man is fearless in speaking his mind. And for those of us who have been saying many of the same things since 2008 when Obama got elected, Trump is a breath of fresh air. It's like someone has tapped into what we have been thinking, feeling, and saying amongst ourselves in private. I love watching a candidate who has no baggage of constituencies or campaign cash or big donors. Trump has single-handedly brought our message to the mainstream media discussion, and it's awesome. I mean, he threw up the first table when he announced his candidacy for president, saying it's time to build a wall and he's going to get Mexico to pay for it. Okay? We know that Trump wrote that speech because no speechwriter in American politics would have ever put those words to paper. Freaking brilliant. This weekend, I was so excited to see Trump lay out a 100-day plan to restore prosperity, secure our communities, and honesty to our government. Sounds a bit nudish, like Contract with America, and it's awesome. This worked. We know Newt's Contract with America brought a massive Republican win to the House of Representatives in 1994 and gave Bill Clinton a positive legacy. Hey, Newt balanced the federal budget immediately, reformed welfare, and a host of other things that Clinton can now talk about as a great presidency thanks to the Republican-led Congress led by none other than Newt Gingrich. I love that. Trump's contract with the American voter, it details a laundry list of things that every voter in America can get behind. 28 detailed, specific solutions he's given. I'm going to name a few of my personal ones, like proposing term limits on Congress. And hey, if Trump can't get that done, we're going to get it done with Convention of States. What about putting a hiring freeze on all federal employees and reducing the federal workforce except the military? Woohoo! Require for every new federal regulation that wants to be added, 2 existing regulations need to be eliminated. Institute a 5-year ban on White House and congressional office officials becoming lobbyists after they leave government service. Creating a lifetime ban on White House officials lobbying on behalf of foreign governments. How about a ban on foreign lobbyists raising money for American elections? Hello. Already, we have a federal law enforcement agency that isn't doing its job because foreign money in federal elections is already illegal. But thank you, Federal Elections Commission, FBI, or Department of Justice refusing to do its job. We know that Captain Corrupt, Loretta Lynch, head of the DOJ, she wouldn't prosecute Hillary if her life depended on it. Probably does, actually, now that I say it out loud. What about identify all foreign trading abuses that impact American workers and direct them to use every tool under American and international law to end those abuses immediately? Trump's also suggested to lift immediately the restrictions on the production of $50 trillion worth of job-producing American energy reserves. Woohoo! I think this has Governor Palin's signature all over it. We're talking shale, oil, natural gas, clean coal. Let's get these guys and gals back to work. Let's get the Keystone Pipeline moving immediately. What about canceling billions in payments to the UN climate change scheme and using that money to fix America's water and necessary infrastructure programs like the water system in Detroit that is literally decaying? Canceling all of Obama's executive orders and canceling all federal funding to any American city who identifies itself as a sanctuary city and will not get rid of or prosecute illegal aliens. I could go on and on. There isn't enough time this week on Mama Grizzly Radio for me to outline all 28 of Trump's incredible solutions that are desperately desired by you and me, the American people. Boy, are these long overdue. So my question is, where in the world has Congress been? Okay, what have those creeps been doing for decades? So while America crumbles, foreign governments walk all over us, Democrats and greedy politicians plunder the American tax treasure. This proves one huge thing. Washington is irreparably broken. D.C. will now, or not ever, fix itself. That means you and me. It's up to us to fix it. And if Donald Trump is president, we can get a fantastic head start on fixing D.C. So here's what I want to see. While Trump is working at the federal level on initiating these 28 solutions he's proposed, the Convention of States project is working on these same structural issues at the grassroots level to get our states toward an Article 5 amending convention so we can meet in the middle. When we get to convention, we can propose amendments that can not only solidify some of Trump's work and the Congress's work with him, but we can continue to go farther to make some of these initiatives permanent in the form of amendments. I love that. All while executing the largest civics history class in the history of our nation awesome. I love it. This is exciting stuff, people. Boy, do I feel re-energized. I have to talk, though, about Trump's comments related to the rigged election and his mention at the debate that he wouldn't just accept voting results on November 8th. Thank you. I wouldn't accept them either until I had them verified. Why is that? Because Pew Research said this week we have 1.8 million dead people registered. Some of them have already been voting in the early voting in certain states. There are 2.8 million registered in more than one state, and 14% of non-citizens are registered. Indiana's Secretary of State this week said she has identified thousands of ballots of concern. And they are holding on to those ballots to do verification and testing to find out where they've come from, what's going on. Thank you, Governor Pence, for getting some great people in there. Just to make sure that someone in the media actually tells the truth about the rigged election and voter fraud, I just want to run through a couple of times when Democrats have been thumbsuckers, like Al Gore in 2000. He challenged the election results and held off 36 days before finally conceding. And did you know that his former boss, Bill Clinton, was also named in that lawsuit? Isn't that just so interesting? Well, we can also talk about John Kerry challenging the election results when Bush won again in 2004. We can talk about Barack Obama and many other Democrats who cried foul, boo, flippin' who. There is election fraud. And you know what? Why should Trump accept that fraud if Hillary wins? We know that Colonel Allen West in Florida had 140% voter turnout in his district. And the Secretary of State didn't do a recount or wouldn't verify the names and go further into investigating that. And that's really because the GOP wanted Colonel Allen West out. The one thing you and I must demand is a zero tolerance for even one fraudulent vote cast in American politics. And I mean, even if that happens to be for dog catcher. I need to mention a woman that I respect tremendously. Her name is Catherine Engelbrecht of True the Vote, a fellow Texan and colleague of mine on the grassroots battlefield, let me be clear. This woman, she has been amazingly, tremendously outspoken for the last 8 years about massive voter fraud that continues to not be investigated, and it continues to increase around the nation. Her nonprofit can hardly keep up with the cases that people are filing with her. True the Vote. I urge you, please, folks, we have to do more. We have to sign up as election watchers. You must get involved at the precinct level. And don't worry if they aren't accepting you now or you don't have time, because I'm going to help you guys in 2017 understand about how to get involved right where you're at. We are going to take precinct organizing to a whole new level. That's exactly the place that we must start, because that's where we get an opportunity to remove the corrupt do-nothings who love the status quo. I eat the status quo for breakfast, just like Donald Trump. We must not accept status quo. We must not ever accept voter fraud. It is time to clean house in the American system of government, and we start by electing Donald Trump. Then, number two, we go for a convention of states, and we tell the Democrats, progressives, and anyone else who thinks they're going to come and take this country from underneath us, you've got another thing coming, because America's next great century is on the horizon. This is our time. Make sure you are registered to vote, and everyone you know is registered to vote, and that they're voting for Donald. Rent a van on election night, carpool together, have a party after you guys have voted that night. We cannot waste this election with the possibility that Hillary gets elected. I can't even hardly say those words out loud without gagging. God bless you guys this week. Be fired up. Be inspired up. Tweet me at Tamara Colbert. I got to say, I have had the best time on Twitter these last couple of weeks, because so many of you have been on fire regarding the election, regarding Trump, regarding the idiocy on the other side. Keep it coming. It's fun, isn't it? Making liberals' heads spin, and we're going to do that on November 8th by electing Donald Trump. For Mama Grizzly Radio, have an awesome week. I'm Tamara Colbert.
Tamara Colbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy, is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook and follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, and at Tamara Colbert. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Tamara Colbert and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Jim Worthington, and thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Narrowgate Security Agency. Visit narrowgate.com. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Lori Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update right here on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.